Last week's episode wasn't a palindrome, you shout. It was only backwards. A palindrome has to be the same backwards and forwards. Like this, off. That better? It was, you know what? It was gonna be the first half of the palindrome, and then I was gonna do this episode the regular way. And now I can't, because you ruined it. So I have to do new stuff. And that's a problem, because I'm so tired. I'm exhausted right now. Let me explain. Last Wednesday, after the show, I know I talked about it last week, day drinking with Kevin Hart. But a lot of you, by the way, a lot of you are like, day drinking at night? Yeah, welcome to show business. Sometimes we shoot nighttime for daytime. Also, Star Wars wasn't in space. I was so hungover. Last week, and then right after corrections, I flew to Arizona. I went to the Grand Canyon. That's just my hangover career. When I get super drunk, I like to go to one of the 7 wonders of the natural world. Done it after a lot of day drinking. Lizzo went to Victoria Falls. Post Malone went right to Mount Everest. The only time I didn't visit a natural wonder of the world was after Rihanna, because she one of them. So tired. I'm so tired because usually I consider mentally in my head corrections is the 5th show of the week. But we did a live show this week. We did our 4 regular shows, and then we did a live show last night. And so that was the 5th show of the week, which means that this is just not going to be a show. If you want a show, go check out One Killer Question. It's the only Murders in the Building after show. I've been told it's Emmy winning. Look, I'm happy for them. That's a great show. It's great short form content. It is, I'm serious. If I wasn't happy for them, would I be able to smile like this? We went live last night, and people asked me, do you get nervous when you go live? And the reality is, in our show, yes, we can make edits after the fact, but one of the reasons I feel very comfortable going live is corrections, because, every week we do corrections in one take. That's why you never see any graphic correction this week. We had a joke about how Donald Trump sounds like a Siri if you put an iPhone in a blender, but the graphic we had a Samsung in a blender. In our defense, we weren't going to put an iPhone in a blender. A lot of, I feel like, Android users are mad that we keep... I don't care. Just whatever, use whatever phone you want. I don't know. Take it so personally. I don't give a... You're like, why do you use an iPhone? I don't know, because I'm a sheep, whatever they call them. More graphics, we said a milkshake, and then we just showed a glass of milk. This is another example of the cost-cutting going on at NBC. From now on, when we ask for something, graphics is only allowed to give us one of the ingredients. Kevin Hart, we were doing day drinking. I was asking him if he'd been in movies with people. And I mentioned, how do you work with Harrison Ford? Harrison Ford was in The Secret Life of Pets. And I only had the character name written, which was Rooster. And he said, oh yeah, he played the big dog. And I said, no, he played the Rooster. Rooster was the name of the big dog. So he did remember it correctly. You know who I think forgot Harrison Ford worked with Kevin Hart? Harrison Ford. Might not remember he was in Secret Life of Pets. What are you even talking about? Again, this is our staff makes this graphic, and I don't pay much attention to it, but I did this week because someone said, one person said, "You look like Margaret Thatcher." Which is the one I'm going to try to remember, because another person said, "You look like Jimmy Carter a week from today." Tim Walz is from Minnesota, and we keep trying to make jokes about his Midwestern roots. And we had a joke about how Menards is 10% off gutters. I guess famously Menards is 11% off. That is a thing they pride themselves on. Also 11% off, people from Minnesota. Is it hone-in or is it home-in? Well, guess what? It's either. Either is acceptable. You know what's not acceptable? Dying on that hill, Shoemaker. Last night, working on the live show, we're going home in. He's like, "It's pretty sure it's hone in." We're like, "It's fine, either work." He's like, "You a funeral." Oh, I mentioned that after day drinking, I went into my TV room, and multiple people said the same sentiment. Someone said, "Your television has its own room. Must be nice to be a rich talk show host." Yes, our TV has its own room, but it is only the size of the TV. I'm not living the life of luxury, you think. How big is my TV? I was like 9,800 inches. Last week, I referred to RFK Jr. as RFK. That was a mistake. Two very different people. We actually have a RFK bridge here in New York City, but we call it the RFK Jr. when traffic is crazy. I'm just kidding. We call it the Triborough. I said my wife came in and there was a full pepperoni in my hair. And oh my God, so many of you were like, "Pepperoni slice?" I don't think it was a full pepperoni. Well, you gotta get that right. People call me crazy, but when I order pizza, I'm like, "I'll have a large pepperoni." The sliced? Someone said about the fact that I did corrections backwards last week. They said, "I bet he's doing this so that it doubles the view count because people have to watch it twice." And I did, and it didn't work. Someone wrote in, "What the hell is an abattoir?" An abattoir, and this is cool, is a word you can Google. You're leaving comments in a YouTube set. I know you got the internet. Unless your local drive-in's showing corrections every Friday night. Someone wrote, if last week was someone's first correction, they would have been very confused. That's why we're not accepting new members, bro. We hit our cap. Speaking of, and again, apologies, it's short this week, but sometimes that's how it goes. I talked about a loss I suffered last week, and a lot of you had really kind things to say to me, and I really appreciate that. More importantly, Jackal mentioned that they had suffered a far deeper loss than I had. And they talked about how they would like coming here and watching this and be a part of the community. And man, I'll tell you something. The comment section was so loving and so supportive, and I give you guys a hard time. You're a good bunch. This is a good bunch here. You're a good bunch, and we like sharing this time with you. I would say this is the best YouTube comment section exists online. I mean, if there's anyone better, I would say it's the group at One Killer Question. Angels over there. But yeah, you guys, I really appreciate everything you do, and we love you, and see me next week.